Today I'm painting my beautiful Siamese girl, Gracie. Gracie was the love of my life. She passed away 3 years ago. She was 17 years old and my constant companion. And I really hadn't allowed myself to think of the day when she wouldn't be here anymore. And it really threw me into a pretty dark place for a long time. I still have some hard days, of course. I think that grief is something that never leaves us, and it changes us fundamentally. I am a completely different person than I was before she left. In some ways, I've changed, I think, for the good, despite the hardship of such a big loss. I've found more of myself in some ways, and I've kind of sat with myself in these darker moments and learned how I can persevere through things. But all in all, it definitely changed the way I look at life and the way I experience things, because she's a constant in my life, and I miss her every single day. I think about her all the time. And I've been wanting to do a pet portrait of her for a while. Even when she was still here, I wanted to do a portrait of her, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And I think it was because of the thought of acknowledging that one day she wouldn't be here with me. And I didn't want to think about that. I didn't want to put that out into the world. And so I think there was a part of me that knew that when the day came that I did paint her, it would be because she was already gone. And it took me 3 years to be able to even get to that place, to be able to do that. I have to admit, this is the most difficult portrait I've ever done, not just because of all of the detail of her light fur or her dark that blends into her light fur. I just had a hard time because all of these emotions started washing back over me. Grief is always with me. I think it's really a part of who I am now because of so much loss I've experienced, not just with Gracie, but other people in my life who have left. And painting her kind of opened all of that back up and really brought it all to the surface again. And it took me several hours over the course of a couple days to paint her. I think because of all the emotions, and also because I wanted to get her perfect. So I really took my time with her, more time than I normally do on pet portraits. And in those couple days that it took me to complete this painting, it was really like she was there with me the whole time. I was staring at her photo that I was using as a reference for like 3 days straight, and she was there with me. It felt like as I was putting down each brushstroke and each layer, as her eyes came into focus, it was really beautiful and hard, and just so many emotions. I definitely had to take a lot of breaks to cry and a lot of breaks to tell myself that this was good, I was doing it, and that it would be beautiful in the end, and that I was honoring her by bringing her back to me in this way. I wanted to make this portrait of her even more meaningful, so I actually added in these stargazer flowers kind of framing her around the bottom, because stargazers are really meaningful to me and my husband. They were the first flowers he ever brought me when we were dating, and we also incorporated them into our wedding. And Gracie was such a big part of all of that. Like, she was there constantly through our dating years, and you know, she would be there lounging on the couch or on our laps while we were on dates. And you know, when we first got married, we brought her into our new house together, and she was there for all of that. And she went with us from being newlyweds to then a few years later, we bought our first house together and we brought her there, and like she was just constantly with us. And so I wanted to bring something in that was really meaningful for all of us. So the stargazers were a part of that, and I think that they turned out pretty good. I kind of softened the background around her to hopefully make her pop a little bit more and match her eyes, and I really tried to put a lot of thought into how this piece would all come together, and I think it took me about 8 to 10 hours overall. I definitely think it was worth it. I'm so glad I could finally bring myself to the place to paint her. This is for sure the most meaningful portrait I've ever completed, and every time I look at it, I'm going to think of her. And it's going to be beautiful and hard and all of those things, but it will have been worth it for sure.